Hi everyone. In this lecture, you are going to learn about how electricity is generated in Sri Lanka and what are the price tariff and what are the sources of energy we are utilizing to generate electricity. And these are few things we need to know when we are talking about Sri Lanka. So in Sri Lanka, we have a population of 21.44 millions, and our area is 65,610 kilometers square, and our GDP per capita is 4,065 US dollars, and in electricity we have an installed capacity of 4,043 megawatts, and in Sri Lanka usual peak demand is around 2500 megawatt, but in these days due to the prevailing conditions our peak demand is around 2 megawatts, and our transmission and distribution losses are also estimated by the energy auditors, and according to them in CEB they have a loss of 8% on transmission and distribution, and LECO only has 5% because they only do the distribution. And in Sri Lanka we say in 2020 we say Sri Lanka is fully electrified, but from the available estimations done on 2018, the estimation was 99.7% of Sri Lankan households are electrified. And this is a map of Sri Lanka with various electrification levels. You can see most of the urban areas are 100% electrified. Rural areas have some Kilinochchi and Mullaitivu, they have 95%, and Monaragala, Nuwara, Badulla, Kurunegala, Matale, those areas have 98 to 97% electrification. And this is the capacity share of Sri Lanka. This figure show you what are the installed capacity percentages and capacity values with their main energy source. You can see we have 900 megawatts of coal, and thermal power CEB we have 604 megawatts. These are mainly diesel and heavy fuel oil plants. And independent power producers we have 611 megawatts, and renewable energy we have hydro 356, wind 128, solar 51 megawatts, biomass 29 megawatts. And if you see this in a pie chart, you see our coal portion has 40% and CB thermal 18%, and independent power producers we have 19% thermal, and hydro we have 16%, and non-conventional renewable energy, those are wind, solar and biomass, there we have 7% of the total capacity. And earlier we talked about the capacity share. Now we are going to talk about generation share. Generation share is how those capacities are utilized to generate electricity. So if you go to the percentages, you can see we have generated 68% of energy from thermal power plants, and hydro 20.5%, and considering all these values we can say we have a thermal generation of 68.7, and all the other are mostly renewable. So our so we can say 31.3% energy is generated using renewable energy sources. And this thermal power 68.7 is mainly contributed by the Noracholi 900 megawatt plant. That's why the portion is very high. Then we come to the demand variation of the day. This is the load curve of Sri Lanka. You can see we have a very varying load curve, and this load curve is mainly dominated by household customers. See, this is the peak. So peak is occurred in during 6:30 to 9:30. So this peak is mainly due to watching TV and all the other entertainment done on these hours. And usually in industrialized countries we have a huge demand during the day, but in Sri Lanka we are not a very industrialized country, so we have a peak demand at, at the night, so that is a little bit bad. uh, okay, these are the load curve variation over the years. You can see the now this industrialized load, that means the load during the day between 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. So that is increasing by the year. Okay, in this lecture slide it shows the thermal energy share of Sri Lanka over the years. You can observe these curves. These curves show the how Sri Lanka moved from hydro generation to other energy sources, so the other thermal energy sources. So if you go to like 1994, the main energy generation is done by the hydro. So now it is the mainly thermal. The hydro portion is very low. This is up to 2014. Now this has become very low, the hydro generation. And this slide shows main institutions that controls the energy sector in Sri Lanka. So first we have the Ministry of Power and Renewable Energy. This ministry makes the policies and fund controlling for energy generation. Then we have the CEB. They have the transmission monopoly, and they have hydro and thermal generation, and they also do distribution. And other government-owned companies, CEB subsidiaries, and we have LECO. The LECO is a distribution company, so they distribute around the coastal belt in Sri Lanka. And then we have LTL. LTL is mainly transformer production, and they also do power generations also. And then we have independent power producers. These are other separate thermal plants and all. And private generators, these are other separate plants below 10 megawatts, so those are categorized under other private generators. And we have Sri Lanka Sustainable Energy Authority. This authority controls the renewable sector in Sri Lanka. They approve all the renewable installations. And we have then Public Utilities Commission, and this commission is the main regulator of the power sector. In this slide we are going to talk about acts and legal aspects of Sri Lankan electricity generation and distribution, and also the transmission. And as I said earlier, we have several acts, and the main regulator is a Public Utilities Commission. The main policymaker is Minister of Power and Energy, and the current act is Act number 20 of 2009, and there were some amendments done on 2013. And the transmission licensee in Sri Lanka is CEB. They have a monopoly on transmission. And generation licensees, we have few: CEB, IPP, SPPA holders, and some other partners. And distribution licensees, CEB and LECO. And now we are going to talk about main hydroelectric power plants in Sri Lanka. These are main ones, not mini hydros. And in Sri Lanka, the main hydroelectric plants are divided into three parts or three complexes. Those are Mahaweli, Laksapana, and other. This other complex is sometimes referred as Samanala complex. I think I forgot to mention the major electricity generation in our earlier slide number 4. Usually we have around 1400 megawatts of total hydroelectricity generation from these main hydroelectric plants. And this is the overview of Mahaweli complex. In Mahaweli complex, there are some power stations, and the total capacity is 816.2 megawatts. The largest power plant that Mahavali complex has is Victoria, that has a capacity of 210 megawatts. And now we come to the Laksapana complex. The total capacity is 360 megawatts. The largest power plant that Laksapana has is New Laksapana plants, that has 100 megawatts power generation capacity. And the other complex, also known as the Samanala complex. So this complex has a capacity of 207.25 megawatts, and the largest plant is Samanala plant, which has 120 megawatts of generation capacity. And now we are going to talk about generation technologies used in Sri Lanka. There are many generation technologies. The earliest and the most known one is hydro. Then we have wind, steam turbines, and steam turbines we can have many combinations: the coal, biomass plants, and gas turbines, diesel, combined cycle power plants. These have two generation methods, and no, usually gas and steam. And the power sources are diesel, naphtha, and heavy fuel oil. And we have diesel power plants also, and some diesel power plants are also run on we can use furnace oil to run diesel engines, and residual oil, and we also have solar photovoltaics. Now we come to the plant factor. This is the most important factor when it comes to a power plant. Usually in a power plant, we specify this plant factor for a period of time which is defined earlier. So the plant factor is the ratio between actual energy produced by a power plant to the theoretical maximum energy production of that plant. So this is specified for a specified time period. So if we consider a 10-hour of time period and a 300 megawatt plant, if that plant has produced 150 megawatt hours during these 10 hours, the plant factor will be 0.5. So the theoretical maximum will be 300 megawatt hours, but it only has produced 150 megawatt hours. So it is half, so that plant factor will be 0.5. And these are some plant factors calculated for hydro power plants in Sri Lanka. These are estimated on 2015, and if you observe, you can see the maximum plant factor we have is 53.98, and normally these hydro power plants have low plant factor because they are easy to get running, so we can keep them off all the time, or we can get them up and get them to supply electricity in a very short period of time. And these are some plant factors for thermal power plants, and these plant factors are usually high because these thermal power plants are a little bit harder to start, so usually CEB keeps them running all the time, so the plant factors are a little bit high. And now we come to the availability factor. The availability factor is the ratio between the duration of plant that is available for operation to the total specified time period. So this availability of a plant mainly depends on the maintenance required for that plant, and these are usually specified by their engineering teams in the plants. Now we come to the cost of energy. In some countries, they charge their customers a fixed price for each electricity unit. Some countries have increasing rates for energy units, and some other countries, they charge their energy according to the time of usage. In Sri Lanka, we have increasing rates, and the time of usage pricing. There are some tariff categories in Sri Lanka. The first one is domestic purpose, the second one is general purpose, and then we have industrial purpose and religious and hotel purpose and government purpose. And these tariff categories are categorized depending on the customer type. And now we come to the domestic purpose. In domestic purpose category, we have both increasing rate and the time of usage tariffs. In this slide, it shows the increasing rate tariffs. The first table is referred by the meter reader if the usage of the domestic customer is less than 60 kilowatt hours, and the second table is referred if the usage is higher than 60 kilowatt hours. And this is the time of usage tariff category available for domestic purpose. So you can see there's a fixed charge, and the price of the unit changes due to the time of the usage. So if you observe the off peak, it has a very low energy price. In the peak it is very high, and the daytime there's a middle priced energy charge. And this pricing category is mainly introduced to promote electric cars in Sri Lanka. And this is a simple calculation of a bill for household. You can see this calculation use the increasing rate. So the first 60 kilowatt hours are charged at a very low energy price, and the second block is charged little bit higher, and the third block is charged at a very high amount for energy. So this is the increasing rate. That means when you are using high amount of energy, you are paying high amounts for your unit charge. And now we come to the general purpose tariff. In general purpose tariff, there are three categories. This is the supply we can get for shops, office, banks, warehouses, public buildings and hospitals, educational establishments, and etc. And there are three categories. The first one is GP1, GP2 and GP3. Those are the three categories. Okay, now we come to the GP1. These are the tariff charges for GP1 customers. This is an increasing rate tariff. This tariff is given for customers who are billed at low voltage, and their demand has to be lower than 42 kVA, and the billing is done on two blocks, less than 300 and higher than 300, and there's a fixed charge also for this tariff. And this is a small calculation done for GP1 tariff, and you can see the customer has used 301 units. So if you observe, you can see if the customer exceeds the 300 margin, all the units are priced at higher than 300 block price. So that is the main difference between this and the domestic bill. See, the domestic bill has 3 blocks, so units are priced separately, but in here units are priced in the block with higher price per unit. And this is GP2, and in GP2 these customers are charged for time of usage, and at the meter there's a demand meter also. If you have a GP2 supply from the CB, they will fix the maximum demand meter next to your unit meter, and they will charge for the maximum demand also. There's a charge for maximum demand. So it is maximum demand is measured in kVA, so this is apparent power. So this is mainly done to encourage power factor correction. So if you have very high reactive power, the apparent power will go up, so you will get a very high charge for that apparent power. And So this is a calculation done for GP2. So this customer has a maximum demand of 72 kVA. See, for maximum demand only he has a bill of 79,200. So others are same for same charges for TOU, that means time of use pricing. So the maximum demand portion is very high in GP2 billing, and this is GP3. And GP3 tariff, the only difference is you are metered at high voltage side, so the pricing is little bit different, and the calculations are same as the GP2 billing. And GP3 is so you learned about this in the first lecture. So in GP3 the transformer is supplied by the customer, not by the CEB, so you have to buy the transformer also. In here we are going to talk about industrial purpose tariff. In this tariff also there are three categories, the category 1, 2, 3, and this is very similar to the general purpose tariff, and all the calculations are done similarly. You have a maximum demand charge also in tariff 2 and 3, and so you can go to the ceb.lk and refer to these tariffs, and all the informations are taken from ceb.lk. And this is the hotel purpose. This is also similar to the general purpose tariff, only the energy charge is different. There's a maximum demand charge, the calculations are done similarly, and there are three tariffs. The first one only has one block, so there is no limit or margin to increase price. So that is a different thing about this hotel purpose tariff. And this is the government purposes tariff. In the government purposes tariff there's a special thing, because this government purposes tariff is given at a fixed charge for the kilowatt hour. So there are three categories. The first one is GV1, and there's GV2, and the third one is GV2HV. So it is measured in high voltage side. The metering is done on high voltage side, and there are some changes in the energy charge on the three categories. And the special thing is there is no increasing rate. Fixed price is given for the energy unit. And here's the religious purposes tariff. For religious purposes the electricity is given at a very low rate. So you can see even after the 180 kilowatt hours per month, the unit charge is only 9.4 rupees, so it is very cheap. And that's everything you need to know about these electricity tariffs used in Sri Lanka.